Download now. 722 Padyatras crisscrossing the country once again. This is the new mantra for a new Congress this time around on a rebound on the first year of Bharat Jodo Yatra. With the general elections due in just a few months, Congress has hit the road once again. It is carrying out 722 yatras pan-India on September 7th last year, that is 2022. Remember, Congress MP Rahul Gandhi had embarked on Bharat Jodo Yatra from Kanyakumari down south and concluded it in Jammu and Kashmir, Srinagar, in the January of 2023. So this is how the Congress as of now is approaching in the run-up to the 2024 general elections. The strategy once again to hit the ground running, meet the masses, galvanize the ranks, and also the communion with the masses is something that not just Rahul Gandhi but rest of the political leaders in the Congress ranks also believe in. Let's listen in what Deputy Chief Minister of Karnataka, D.K. Shivkumar, had to say on this Padyatra.
We will walk the streets of Bangalore rural. Just it is called Ramnagar, that's all. We don't want to trouble the entire traffic of Bangalore, so we decided to go to the rural of Bangalore.
What is the message you are giving?
Message is that Bharat Jodo. Bharat Jodo, we want Jodo, Jodo, Bharat Jodo. We want this entire country to be united.
When the name is changing, tactics are going on other side, you are saying
No.
less Jodo.
No, definitely. See, it is our historic, this one. You can't change like that. Okay. India is a great country, which has already been. Huh? We Bharatiya, Tanniya, Janujate, all these things are there. We respect our sentiments, but you can't change the constitution. You can't change your name immediately.
Right, so D.K. Shivkumar, obviously the man in charge in Karnataka, obviously riding high on the success that the party tested in the last assembly elections in Karnataka. Victorious feat achieved there, and obviously these are the visuals from Rahul Gandhi's Bharat Jodo Yatra. Clearly a mark, some would say, that this Bharat Jodo Yatra has not just transformed the image of Rahul Gandhi as a mass leader, but also adding teeth to Congress's approach towards elections, and Karnataka, the first election that the Congress went into, won it actually. So in this situation as of now, the party's path to parliamentary elections in 2024 remains as of now still dotted with many challenges. And the Grand Old Party faces the task of rebuilding its organization, which is as of now struggling to find a leadership, when it comes to the leadership part, whether, as far as the India Alliance is also concerned. Joining us to decode the path to progress, the road to revival, Tehseen Poonawala there, needs no introduction. Tehseen, always a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for taking time out. Well, let me begin with you, by asking 722 Padyatras, albeit smaller ones as compared to the Bharat Jodo Yatra. Still, the message is that Yatra zarur ek leg mein puri hui hai, Bharat Jodo Yatra, but they haven't forgotten it. The connect with the masses is still there.
So first of all, thank you so much for having me on the show. At the onset, wish you, all your colleagues and your viewers a very, very happy Janmashtami.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I think the message is right and is clear. I think there's a double message in this. Number one, of course, Bharat Jodo, and today is the 1-year anniversary of Bharat Jodo, was very, very successful. It changed the perception of Rahul Gandhi ji So they will continue that legacy forward. As you rightly said, we haven't forgotten the Padyatra is the message that's going through. Point number two, I think the Congress comes from a point of belief where they think that the mainstream media is particularly, to a large extent, biased against the opposition. And that is true to an extent, where you have mainstream media, not people like you guys are phenomenal, but otherwise mainstream media singing praises and doing PR of the present government, and really questioning the opposition after 9 years and 10 years, and sort of distracting on Hindu-Muslim issues. I think the strategy of the Congress party has been twofold. One, to reach directly to the masses, to bypass the media narrative. Number two, to go more with media like you guys, because see, digital media is the future. It's instant. It connects. It's less biased. So you have more digital media coming in, giving them the coverage, taking them to the masses, and the voices being spread. So I do believe that this strategy of theirs is what is going to take it forward.
Right. Tehseen, talking about digital media, you are right. When it comes to, approaching the masses nowadays, the penetration, the reach that digital media gives you, it brings me to also to showcase to our viewers what a dramatic change, I would say, and what an I would say youthful approach the Congress has taken this time around when it comes to propagating the message.
Dynastic. It's not absolutely true, but that was the vilification of the Gandhis. It's also helped that after Mrs. Gandhi, that Sonia ji rejected or did not become prime minister, she got a consensus for Dr. Manmohan Singh. Rahul ji has not become the Congress president. He's got a consensus for Kharge ji, and Kharge ji is the president. It also helps that Kharge ji comes from a backward community. He is a tall leader. He's been elected a number of times. He has a hold in South India. So all of those political combinations play out very well. But that does not take away from the fact that the Gandhis, particularly Rahul ji and Priyanka ji, are the tallest mass leaders of the Congress. I'm not counting Mrs. Gandhi because she's, of course, ailing and it's expected she may not contest. So I'm talking about Rahul ji and Priyanka ji. They are the mass leaders. So the Gandhis will continue to be the moral force with the Congress, the glue that binds the Congress, but administratively and otherwise, Kharge ji will take the decision. I think it's a good team because you also see in every organization, in every successful political organization, you require a power of two. So you had Nehru ji and Vallabhbhai Patel ji, or you had Gandhi and Nehru, then you had Atal ji and Advani ji, you have Modi ji and Amit Shah ji. Even with Mrs. Gandhi, you have the combination of Mrs. Gandhi and Dr. Manmohan Singh, or Mrs. Gandhi and Ahmed Patel for the party. So you must always have the power of two, so it helps the politics go forward. So I think Kharge ji and Rahul Gandhi ji will make a good combination.
Right. Tehseen, having said that, the internal dynamics of the party no doubt has been more clear, I would say more transparent after the ascension of Mallikarjun Kharge as the president, after his choice as the president being elected. Now, one key aspect which, keeps coming into the mainstream media and then goes away is the role of Priyanka Gandhi. I mean, from a party or a family's point of view, which has seen a female member of the family leading the nation, is it, just too early to toy with this idea that Priyanka should join active politics and maybe stand in contention for the top job?
She's already in active politics. She's the general secretary of the party. She's also in charge of Uttar Pradesh, where they didn't do very well, but she was also the star campaigner in two states, Karnataka and Himachal, where the party did exceedingly well. I also feel that in the state elections, I'm not going to go to the union elections, those are separate ball game. In the state elections, I do believe the Congress has an answer to the BJP, and it started to defeat the BJP. It's a combination of a lot of factors: good state leadership, resources to fight the BJP, state issues not targeting the Prime Minister personally, and then the cream is Priyanka Gandhi. You see, Priyanka Gandhi's attacks both in Himachal and Karnataka were directly on the Honorable Prime Minister. Now, it's very difficult to attack the Prime Minister and get away. The Prime Minister has not been able to retort to an attack on Priyanka ji. When Rahul ji would attack him, or even when Kharge ji attacked him in Karnataka, the Prime Minister could play the card of being the victim. With Priyanka ji, he's not managed to do that, and Priyanka ji's attacks are very sharp. Also, Priyanka ji is very, very, very good in Hindi. So these are 2 or 3 combinations that work very well. She's extremely articulate in how she speaks, and she knows how to, for lack of another word, engage the media. So the media also captures. She gives all those visuals to the media. She's making dosa. She's hugging a woman. She's in the tea garden. Those visuals are what media works. What media
Right.
works on. She's very media friendly, like the Prime Minister is. So I think Congress has a combination in her. I'm not saying she can defeat Prime Minister Modi in a central election, but in a state elections, she is a handful. In fact, if you see Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, and Chhattisgarh, all 3 chief ministers have made the most requests are for Priyanka Gandhi Vatra. She's been to Madhya Pradesh a number of times, even the Narmada Ji Aarti that she did.
Right.
And BJP could retort to nothing but ridiculous things of, oh, she did the Aarti left and right, and which was so ridiculous that people were laughing on it. You see, they have no answer to her.
No, obviously, certain sections would definitely want to have a go at that as well. Talking about, the role and the control from the headquarters to the state party units. We saw earlier how there was a spat between in Rajasthan between Sachin Pilot and the Chief Minister Ashok Gehlot ji. Now, Haryana Congress also seems to be on a sticky wicket. What is this issue about between Mr. Surjewala and Mr. Hooda?
Look, Mr. Hooda is a mass leader. Okay, he's going to win the election. Let's be honest on it.
Right.
And with no disrespect to anybody, Mr. Hooda and his son Dipinder will win their seats, at least their assembly seats. They don't have to go to a neighboring state to get to the parliament, right? So you got to accept that they are mass leaders. You got to accept that they have the resources. There is the Jat vote that consolidates behind the Hoodas, because the Jat vote is extremely unhappy with the present state government. Even in what happened in the violence in recently in Haryana, the Jat fellow citizens of ours came down very heavily on the BJP agenda. In fact, all the tall BJP Jat leaders, whether it was Mr. Chautala, the Deputy Chief Minister, or Inder Ji, the MOS, the Union Minister Cabinet, came down and said, look, this is wrong what the BJP is doing. They cannot be taking swords, etc. in their rallies. The VHP and they came down on the VHP despite being BJP allies. So the Jat vote right now is very upset with the BJP. So is the other section of society, which is all the farmers. So there's a consolidation behind the Congress. And honestly, this consolidation with the Priyanka Gandhi factor will lead to a Congress government in Haryana. But we have to be clear on who's going to make you with this government. It can't be those who sort of will not be able to bring the mass or the crowds to the rallies.
Tehseen, now that I have the liberty of time to speak to you, I wanted to know from you, coming to the contemporary issues as latest as today, the Sanatan Dharma issue is something which, again, I would say personally, unnecessarily being taken out of context. But having said that, Congress Pawan Kheda today was heard saying that this is not what they expect. This is basically distancing themselves. Where does this comment or commentary or the turn of events leave Congress as of now vis-a-vis the India bloc?
It will hurt the Congress in Madhya Pradesh for sure. To an extent in Rajasthan.
You believe that? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely hurt the Congress. And Pawan is one of the best Congress spokespersons. I'm glad he came out today, but this clarification should have come a lot earlier. It's going to hurt Kamal Nath. Look, let's be honest. Forget the politics for a second. Today is a very pious day. Let's just talk on the morality. Let me ask you something. Is it right to say anyone is malaria, mosquito, corona, dengue, and should be eliminated? It's just morally wrong. It's reprehensible. And it's dehumanizing. We can discuss, we can argue, we can talk about every reform in every way of life. But that's not by dehumanizing people and calling them mosquitoes. Let me stretch this argument slightly further. Let me just push these boundaries of these arguments. Let's assume that I were to say the liberal, and I do believe as a liberal, and I'm talking about, say, the burqa, the way of life, the Islamic way of life. And I was to say, listen, the burqa is mosquito, dengue, malaria-like. What would you tell me? You'd criticize me. You'd say it's not right, correct? You would do it. If you know, you can argue on reforms in every way of life, but you cannot dehumanize people. Now, let me push this argument even further. The freedom of speech is absolute in Europe, we agree. If in Europe I were to go and say Jews are like mosquitoes, they must be eradicated, their way of life must be eradicated, I would be in jail and I wouldn't get bail. Because they've seen the tragedy that Jews have undergone in Europe. I would be in jail in somewhere where freedom of speech is absolute. Can I say this in Europe? I cannot. So how can you say this about the Sanatan Dharma? That caste should be discussed. I have no issues with it. That we must always have reforms. There is no issue with it. But not in a dehumanizing way.
Right.
And look, Mr. Stalin's son, I'm just going to extend this. Mr. Stalin's son speaking about privilege. His son is there because he's Mr. Stalin's son. He was an actor because he's Mr. Stalin's son. He's a politician because he's Mr. Karunanidhi's grandson. He cannot talk about privilege. It doesn't work. It may work politically for the DMK in Tamil Nadu. It doesn't work for the Congress. It's morally wrong. It's politically stupid. On both aspects, it's wrong. So stop doing it.
Right. Obviously, Tehseen, we'll come back to that. Just now, I have to, play out Rahul Gandhi's tweet where he has mentioned about the भारत जोड़ो यात्रा के एकता और मोहब्बत की और करोड़ों कदम देश के बेहतर कल की बुनियाद बने हैं. यात्रा जारी है नफरत मिटने तक, भारत जुड़ने तक, ये वादा है मेरा. This is Rahul Gandhi's tweet. Obviously, this is one of the many that he has been sending from his personal Twitter handle also, or X as it is known these days. भारत जोड़ो यात्रा के एकता और मोहब्बत की ओर करोड़ों कदम देश के बेहतर कल की बुनियाद बने हैं. This is something once again which comes as a reiteration. Remember, our viewers, Rahul Gandhi as of now is in Europe, and he is slated to speak to the MEPs, the MPs basically of the European Parliament, and put his and country's view forth. Let's also very quickly, Tehseen, take a look at a series of tweets that came, from the days of Bharat Jodo Yatra, a package format which INC itself has placed. Let's take a look at that.
விழுதாகுவோம் வெயில் வீசினால் மழையாகுவோம் தடையாவையும் தூளாக்குவோம் புது விடியலை சேரும் பாதமே ஆத்மாவிலே விஸ்வாசமே ஜன மனசில் நிறையும் ஆசையே ஒளி வீசுவான் எழும் மின்னலிதா ಕೈ ಕೂತರು ಮಿಚ್ಚಿನಿ ನೀಂಗಿಡ ಹುಮ್ಮಸ್ಸಿನ ಜೊತೆ ಹೊರಟಿದ್ದೇವೆ ಈ ದೇಶವು ಒಗ್ಗೂಡಿಸಲೆಂದೇ మరిమా తోడుగా ఎవరొస్తారు మరిమా తోడుగా ఎవరొస్తారు మరిమా తోడుగా ఎవరొస్తారు माझं हे एक पाऊल मिळेल तुझ्या पावला मिल जाए जुड़ जाए अपना वतन मिल जाए जुड़ जाए अपना वतन चली 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 भारत जोड़ो यात्रा चली 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 भारत जोड़ो यात्रा चली लाखों रंग समेटे हुए ये इंद्रधनुष का देश है कन्याकुमारी से कश्मीर तक जुड़ रहा मेरा देश है नफरत ना बोने देंगे इस पावन पावन माटी में हम अमन के फूल खिलाएंगे प्यार भरी परिपाटी में महंगाई को झुका के मानेंगे बेरोजगारी से पंजा लड़ा
Right. So obviously, Rahul Gandhi, amid the sea of fans and followers there, we saw him crisscrossing the country from December, from in fact September of 2022 till January of 2023. Tehseen Poonawalla is there with us. Tehseen, obviously, the Padyatras continue, but one critical aspect which is going to unfold this month is the special parliamentary session for which Sonia Gandhi ji had written to the Prime Minister asking about, about the proceedings and the itinerary of this session. Obviously, BJP replied back saying this is not the tradition, but what is it that makes this particular special session different, and especially in the wake of One Nation, One Poll also?
So I do believe that one nation, one poll is a jumla. It's something to divert attention with, just like the Bharat and the India debate was to divert attention with, because the government does not want to answer tough questions. They did this one nation, one poll thing the day the Mumbai meeting of the INDIA India Alliance happened. So they obviously did this to sort of take attention away from that meeting, which was a very successful meeting. And the INDIA media team was caught like a deer on the highway in front of headlights. So they had no idea of how to react to it. So the government managed to divert it, and then it diverted it with the India-Bharat debate. And since the Mumbai meeting, there's been no headlines that India alliance has made. The government has been scoring the headlines, and the India alliance has been reacting to it. Having said that, I think the special session of parliament, it's strange that in Amrit Kal, to celebrate our democracy, the mother of democracy does not tell the opposition. In the mother of democracy, the opposition does not know what is the special session of parliament about. Convention has been, every time a special session of parliament has been called, including the time when we were in the 61 war with China, when ex-Prime Minister Vajpayee ji asked ex-Prime Minister Nehru ji for a special session, we knew what a special session was about. Now the idea that the Business Advisory Council will tell the opposition, yes, all that's true, but what is it about? The gist of it should have been put out. If that is secret, in my opinion, maybe even the speaker and the chairperson of the Rajya Sabha, the vice president of India, don't know what this session is all about. The government just decided to call one, and the opposition has been kept in dark in Amrit Kal. That's how it is, and it's terrible.
Indeed, thank you so much, Tahseen, for speaking to us. And obviously, there are so many, questions and aspects that obviously need a lot of answering also. But for some other day. But today, thank you so much for speaking to us. Happy Janmashtami once again to you and your family.
Happy Janmashtami to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. This brings us to the end of this conversation. But on the other side, obviously, G20 is the flavor of the, not just of the week, but of the month as well. And as the members start coming to India, the world is descending on India as of now as we speak. Delhi has become the host. My colleague Neha Khanna caught up with India's G20 Sherpa, Amitabh Kant, and had a very candid discussion with him. Watch the interview after the break.
इंजीनियरिंग कर रहे हैं क्योंकि सभी लोग कर रहे हैं
Coaching is now starting from grade 3, 4, 5, 6.
कोटा जाने वाली बीच राह में आधे टेस्ट देके हैं सिलेक्शन की चाह में
ऑल इंडिया का बच्चा कोटा जाता है
This rat race is for rats, not for humans. So why should we even be a part of it?
The Rat Race. This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
He thought he could outlast us. And 1 year later, the evidence is right here in this room.
Who will blink first?
So far from preventing the expansion of NATO, Russian actions have actually resulted in the expansion of NATO.
It's a mess for Russia and it's a mess for the Western world, for NATO and the United States.
Putin is a dictator, and if he loses, that means the end of his regime, and probably of him personally. So he has to keep going.
Year 2, no end in sight.